Today I'm going to show you the right way to load 45 ACP bullets and 45 Colt, and that's coming up next year on Jesse B Outdoors Reloading. Welcome back everybody, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment down below if you like videos like this. So yes, I'm going to show you guys a 45 ACP bullet here. You can see there is no crimp groove in that. And then here is a dummy round I've already got made up. I'm going to show you how to do this. First off, I'd like to thank Hoosier Bullet Company for sending these bullets for us to try out. What we're using today is a 200 grain semi-wad cutter that's high-tech coated from Hoosier Bullets. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you guys helping the channel out for doing videos like this. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I got my press set up to do this, because it's a little bit different. I'm not using all 45 Colt dies. So let's go ahead, bring you on in, and I'll show you the dies we're going to use. And then after that, I'll show you the components and we'll load some up. So let's get started. Now the first thing we're going to go over is the die setup here, because there's something a little bit different with this. What I got here in the first station is going to be a RCBS carbide sizing and decapping die. And then here in station 2, I don't have all my Dillon powder measure dies yet. So what we're using is a Lee powder through expanding die. And I got a Lee auto disc on it today, because I'm using clays, and this is the only powder drop I got that'll do clay is somewhat accurate. What I'm going for here is a light cowboy load to shoot in my Cimarron Pistolier, so that's why we're doing that. Now back over here we have a seating crimping die from RCBS, but we are only seating our bullets with it. And then in the last station here we got a Lee factory crimp die. This is what's different. This is for 45 ACP. Now I do have this set like you normally would set a factory crimp die. It's all the way down to the shell plate when you pull it up. And then what I did was I just adjusted the crimp with this. Now what I did with the crimp on this is I've only got a light crimp on it. And I'll show you guys that. I'm going to back it out right now. And then we're going to run one round through. And I'll tell you guys how I got this set up here. And then we'll go ahead and load a few up, and in a different video we'll shoot them up. But first, we got to know how to load these, so let's get started loading these. Alright, for the components we are using clays here. We are using 6.2 grains of clays. And like I said, my powder thrower ain't throwing this the best, so anything around 6.2 is what I'm going to use. Primers, we are using Winchester large pistol primers. And then of course for the bullets, we are going to be using the Hoosier Bullet. That's a 200 grain semi-wad cutter. And you guys can see there is a lube groove, but there is no crimp groove in that. And that's what the difference is. And once we get a finished round, I'm going to tell you why we got to crimp it the way we crimp it. And then for brass, we are just using range pickup brass. That's just mixed, so we're just going to use that. So we're going to put the first one in here. And like I said, this is just a RCBS sizing decapping die. And then we're going to push this forward and set our primer in. And we're going to set our primer. Now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to zero out my case here. And it might take a couple of times because I set this up last night. So the powder drop might not be as accurate. So we're going to do it a couple of times here. Double check our charge. Once again, this is a 45 ACP die. All of them are until we get to the end. We got 6.3, which I'm not worried about because we want 6.2, but I want to do it one more time just to be sure. And we got 6.2 that time. Alright, so we're good on that. Now we're going to move to the next station here. And what I'm doing is I'm seating this halfway up on that top part right there. On that top driving band, I'm going about halfway up on it. Now the reason why I'm doing that is because we're doing a taper crimp. And normally with 45 Colt you do a taper crimp, but we have no crimp groove to crimp it into, so we're going to do a taper crimp. So now we're going to seat that bullet here, and then I will show you guys right there. You can see how that is halfway up where the driving band is. I'll grab a one here that wasn't seated. You can tell the difference right there. Try to get the focus in somewhat. Don't look like my camera wants to focus in. Let me see here. Alright, there it kind of is. But you guys get the idea that we got it halfway up on that driving band. So we're going to put this back in here. And now we are going to go to the Lee Factory Crimp die. So what I'm doing on this is, in case you guys don't know how to set these, you run the die all the way down until it touches the shell plate. And then when you do that, you're going to move up here and you're going to turn this down until it touches the case mouth. And then what we're going to do right there is touching the case mouth. You don't need a heavy crimp on these, and the reason why I'll show you after we get this one finished is you don't want to strip the lead. I've got a dot right up here marked on this. I'm only going to go a half a turn to crimp this. So now we're going to crimp this, and we have our first round made up here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the camera angle real quick and go over a couple other things so we can see it better. Now we're at the table here and we're going to talk about this crimp here real quick. You can see we are crimped about halfway up on that front driving band. I've got another bullet here. I'm going to try to focus in a little bit better. There we go. And you can see here that we are about halfway up on that driving band. And the reason why we want to do that is we got to taper crimp into something. You can't roll crimp into this factory lube groove. That will not hold the bullet right. So that's what we're doing on this one to hold the bullet. Now I don't recommend doing this on high powered rounds, and I'm going to show you why here in a second. But one of the first things we got to do, because this bullet was not made for 45 Colt, is I've got the cylinder here to my Cimarron Pistolier, and we're going to drop that in. And we're going to make sure our overall length is right. You can see our bullet is not sticking out on the chamber there. Now my Ruger Blackhawk Bisley, the cylinder on that is longer, so I don't have to worry about it on that, but on this one we do. I know I tried to do a Lee 452 230 tumble lube bullet, and if I do the top crimp groove in that, it will not fit in this cylinder. I only could shoot it in my Ruger because the bullet's too long. I wish I still had some of those to do a video on, but I don't. But we are going to do a couple more videos with bullets I can get my hands on there for 45 ACP. But that's the first thing you got to worry about with the overall length, is to make sure it's going to stay in that cylinder. Now the next thing about this crimp, like I said, we did a light factory crimp on this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to measure it. You can see I'm zeroed out right here. And I had this around, I think, 1.660, somewhere around in there. We can see right there. We're at 1.6605. Make sure, go around. Oop, I slid off there. Looks like pretty much we are on that, dead on. So now what I'm going to do is put this down here. It's zeroed out. We're going to set that down real quick. And what I'm going to do is push on the table to make sure this is going to hold. And that's the main thing you want. You don't want the bullet moving around under recoil. So now what I want to do, we are still zeroed out here. And we'll put it back on. And you can see, once again, actually it looks like it went up one, which ain't possible because we were pushing down on it. But there we go, right there. Hold it like that, the right way. We're about in the same area there, but it proves my point that it didn't sink down in it. So now we know that a half turn crimp, which is very light, is a good enough crimp for this bullet. So now the whole reason why we're worried about this crimp here is because on a regular 45 Colt, you got a crimp groove to roll crimp in. What happens is if you roll crimp into this, what it's going to do, get the focus back in here. If you roll crimp in that same spot, what you're going to do is when you fire the round, it's going to tear this high-tech coating off. And when it tears that high-tech coating off, it's going to have lead exposed, and you're going to lead up your barrel bad. Now the same thing is going to happen with plated bullets. Full metal jackets, you would have to have a really heavy crimp to do it on that. But even plated bullets, if you get too much of a roll crimp on a spot that's not made for a roll crimp, it's going to rip that back half off when you fire it, and it's going to expose the lead and cause leading. So that's why we're using 45 Colt dies, except for the crimp die, and we're using a 45 ACP to get a taper die. So as I showed you, that just a very light crimp, because this is a light shooting round. Like I said, this is going to be a cowboy round. That'll be fine in this. And then once again, like I showed you guys, you got to watch your overall length. That way, you know it'll fit in your cylinder with no issues. So let's go ahead and make up the other 24 rounds. Now that I showed you guys why we got to do the stuff the way we got to do it, let's load the rest of these rounds up here. So, as always, I'm going to walk you guys around again, but this one we are going to do full progressive. We are resizing, decapping, setting the primer, putting another round in. So now we are expanding and dropping the powder in, and then in the first station, we are sizing, depriming, and priming. Move it on to the next one. We are bullet seating once we put a bullet in here. And then we're expanding and powdering, and then we are sizing, decapping, and depriming. And now we got a full shell plate here. So now we're factory crimping, and then we're seating the bullet, expanding and powdering, and then in the first station we are sizing and decapping. And I got to make sure I am in there straight. There we go. Maybe this one feels a little bit rough. Let me get that in there. Alright, there we go. That one was a rough one. I'm going to pull it out just to make sure. I think some of this brass that I was shooting heavy rounds in it, but that's why it's going through the sizing die kind of hard. But that's alright, so we will move on. Make sure I got a powder charge in this one. Anytime I take a pause or anything, I just like making sure everything is working the way it should. Alright, so we're good on that. So, what do you guys think of using 45 ACP and 45 Colt? I really like it because that means I got dual purpose for a bullet. And then when we get done loading these up, I'll tell you another reason why I wanted to make this video. Because we're going to do some other rounds using these bullets. And we're going to use other 45 AC bullets and something. And I figured since I was doing all that, I would make this video showing you guys why we got to do it this way. This will keep our barrel from leading. And it also, like I said, dual purpose for the bullet. I like shooting 200 grain in my Cimarron Pistolier. You shouldn't be shooting heavy rounds in a Colt clone anyways. So, you can shoot regular rounds in it. But I always like doing a light 200 grain load. Like I said, normally I use HP 38 or Winchester 231. But I am currently out of that right now. So we had some clays in there, and I know you can do a light load with the clays, so I figured I'd do that. But as always, we are knocking these out here pretty quickly with the old Dillon 550C. Now on the dies, you don't have to use the same brands I'm using. You can use Lee dies, Hornady dies, whatever you want. I just happen to have Lee dies that I usually use in my Lee Classic turret press. And then on my Dillon, I usually use all RCBS except for the factory crimp die. I use that still. I just swipe it off of my turrets from the Lee Classic turret press and move them over to here. But man, these are going to be some fun rounds to shoot. I really like shooting heavy loads in my Ruger. But truthfully, because it's got the Bisley grip, it's more comfortable than my Cimarron. I've made some regular, like, say like 850 feet per second, 900 feet per second loads for the Cimarron Pistolier. And the grip on it, I don't know, it just hurts my hand. It don't matter if I hold it with two hands, one hand. Kind of hurts my hand the way it goes, recoils back into my hand. And I don't like it. That's why I like shooting these lighter loads into it. And of course, when it comes to bullet weight, the heavier bullet you have, the more recoil you're going to have. So that's why I like doing these 200 ones in for cowboy rounds. But it looks like we got about 6 more of these open up to put through this and run them through. So let me know down below, do any of you guys run 45 ACP bullets and 45 Colt? Oop. We got our little primer here. And if you do run them in 45 Colt, do you do a taper crimp or a factory crimp? Now that I stop, I'm going to make sure where I'm at here. We are seated and we do have powder in there, so we're good to turn it. But yeah, let me know if you how you guys crimped it, if you crimped it that way, or did you do a roll crimp and not think about it, or, you know, because I really did not know that. I did a video on my main channel a long time ago, can you use 9mm bullets in 38 special, and I didn't even think about it because I was kind of new to reloading, and I did size the bullets to 358, but I didn't think about the crimp. And I took a Lee 356 220 truncated cone bullet, which of course doesn't have a crimp groove in it, and I rolled crimp it. I didn't fire a lot of them, but I didn't even think about, hey man, that could tear the powder coating off. Ooh, that one didn't feel like it had a primer. Ooh, that one didn't. I must have miscounted here. Make sure we got a primer there. Right, yep, we got a primer in this one. But yeah, I didn't even think about it tearing the powder coating off. So when I did that, I was just like, thought nothing of it. And then I don't remember, I was watching, I'm going to say probably Fortune Cookie 45 or somebody like that. And I think they said something about it and then it hit me that, yeah, you could tear the coating off of it. But there is our last round. Now let's go back up on top, and I'm going to show you why I made this video for a future project. Let's go ahead and move up on top. Alright, for some reason this didn't pick up a primer. I do have at least 2 left, I would think. There is a primer in this one here. Don't know how that happened, but we'll put a primer in this one. Yep, it's got a primer in it. So as I move it over to this one, we're going to put our last piece of brass in. And then I'm going to watch that arm and make sure when it comes out it's got another primer, and it does. I thought I was short on there. I don't know why it missed a primer. Interesting. I guess it happens sometimes. Well, that's why when something don't feel right, you check it out. And I was pretty sure that I had 2 more left because I counted these out before the video. Making sure we got powder in that. Yes, we do. So we're good to go. But yep, anytime that something don't seem right when you're reloading, stop and make sure you check everything out. Now we got our 25 rounds done. Let's go back up on top. So I hope I explained that good enough for you guys to understand why we got to use a taper crimp instead of a roll crimp when using 45 ACP bullets and 45 Colt. It just helps you prevent from leading up your barrel. If you guys maybe wondered if you did do this, why you kept getting leading, maybe now you know. Just thought I'd do this video to tell you guys. And if you didn't know, good, now you do know. If you did know, well, at least you got to watch me reload some 45 Colt here. So hopefully you guys got that. Now here's one of the finish rounds we got here. Now the whole reason why I made this video is to kick off another set of videos. What we are going to do is Walter at the Vihavo channel sent me out some 45 Cowboy Special loads here. And let me grab that 45 Colt here. Basically what a 45 Cowboy Special is a 45 Colt cut down to 45 ACP. Now you can use some of the bullets that are for 45 Colt, but I'm going to use 45 ACP because what we're going to do is this is the same size as 45 ACP, so you can use the load data for it. But you got to be able to crimp the bullets with a taper crimp, and I figured this video for the 45 Colt would lead into that one, just so you guys know about future videos that are coming up now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video of using 45 ACP bullets and 45 Colt. As always, don't forget to check the links out down below. Down there I have links to Axle Hearing Protection, Gators Eyewear, and a bunch of other companies I like dealing with. Some got discount codes to save you guys money. Others are affiliate accounts that do help out the channel. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Leave a comment down below. We are one nation under God, and I'll see you all on the next one.